right, while we're waiting, this is going to be an interactive session, and I noticed in the previous session that some people were not sitting next to somebody. So, can you please, before we begin, make sure that you are sitting next to somebody that you can talk to? They won't bite your head off. Could you find someone to sit with over there, maybe? You guys going to talk? Okay. Are you okay to talk? You got someone there? Okay. Okay, everybody needs to be sitting next to somebody, and everybody needs to be prepared to talk to them. It's not that scary. There's loads of space at the front. It's okay, if you need to leave, you can leave. They're taken? Ah. These ones look pretty empty, and I don't think these are taken, honestly. I think they're in the other room. Okay, great, I got my slides. Don't be scared, it's okay. If you need to leave, that's fine. These are, nobody's here. And if they come, then it's their fault for being late. Thank you. Pleasure. Come on. Great. Okay, we ready? Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Okay, good. Great, thank you. Okay, yeah, so me again. Let's look now at delivering effective reading lessons. Clicker, let me find my clicker. There we go. So, let's kick off with this. Okay, we've got a whole load of fabulous quotes, all about reading. I'd like you, with the person next to you, that you're going to talk to, could you try and guess what the missing words might be? Let's just do the first one together, all of us. So this is it's quite funny, the first one. So I find something very educating. Every time someone turns on the set clue, I go into the other room and read a book. What might the word be? Pardon? TV? Yeah, you're right. It's just my clicker's not working. One sec. Yeah. It did work because I moved on. Well, anyway, while we're waiting, just try and guess all the other missing words. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know what I did. It was fine, but okay, so yes, the first one was indeed television. Let's check out the others. So, reading is to the something what something is to the body. Any guesses? Okay, you saw that one though, didn't you? Yeah, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Okay. I do believe something very magical can happen when you read a good book. Harry Potter. And all I have learned from, And reading is something with open eyes. Fabulous. And last but not least, write to be understood, speak to be heard, read to grow. Yeah. Very good. Fabulous. Bravo. Round of applause for you. Okay. So, ready? Okay. So, just remembering those phrases, how do your students feel about reading? How do they feel? And do they share those sentiments? So, those quotes that we just looked at. Do they share these sentiments? Mm, depends. Okay, so how do your students feel about reading? Well, some of them aren't that keen, unfortunately. What does an effective reader look like, an active reader? What kind of skills, strategies do they have? Okay, just think of your students that are really good at reading. What skills and strategies do they have? So just talking to your partner, you've just got 30 seconds to try and think of at least 5 skills, strategies that good readers have. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, tell me. What skills or strategies do effective readers have?
Skimming and scanning, but that's too formal.
Well, skimming and scanning skills. Enjoyment. Yeah, that's a skill. Yeah. Enjoying reading. Okay. Became a skill. You have to enjoy reading. Okay, great. Okay, so they need to be able to activate their prior knowledge. We saw that in the previous session, if you were paying attention. They need to be able to skim and scan for details. They need to be able to infer the meaning of unknown words, of course, and unknown vocab. They need to be able to engage, enjoyment maybe, engage with the text, analyze it, and critically evaluate it. They need to ask questions, and they need to have vocabulary knowledge, of course. And last but not least, they need to be motivated, maybe links to what you said about enjoyment. They need to be motivated to read. So, how do we develop all that? Well, we use an intensive reading approach. And by that, I mean a reading approach with 3 stages that I'm sure you all use. Pre-reading, while reading, and of course post-reading. Yeah, it's not rocket science, don't worry. Okay, so if you had to choose, obviously every single stage is absolutely vital, but if you had to choose one of those stages, which one do you think is the most important? Because there's no right or wrong answer, this is up to you. Just tell the person next to you. For you, which is the most important stage and why? Okay. Okay, as I said, there's no right or wrong answer, it's up to you. But just out of interest, put your hand up if you think pre-reading is the most important. Okay. While reading? Okay, and post-reading? All right, really interesting. It's quite balanced. Okay. As I said, no right or wrong answer. Perhaps for me, I think pre-reading. Because, well, why? Why do you think I think pre-reading is fundamental, perhaps the most important? How does it help students? Again, just tell your partner. How does pre-reading really help them be more effective readers? No? Or behind you? Okay. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? No, everyone's shy? Yeah?
Because you think of prediction.
Fabulous. Prediction, absolutely. Great. Anything else? Yeah, I think it's all about, predict. You activate prior knowledge, someone that was paying attention. Great, thank you. Yes, yeah, and I'm all about activating prior knowledge. Why? Why do you need to do it? You activate schemata, right? Call it, this quote sums it up really nicely. Call it schema, relevant background knowledge, prior knowledge, or just plain experience. When students make connections to the text they're reading, their comprehension increases. Yeah, you all knew that. I know you knew that, but just pointing it out. So it's a bit like when there's a power cut. Happened to me the other day. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got home, and there's a power cut, and the garage was just pitch black. And I don't know how to navigate my garage without light. It was a bit tricky. So if you haven't activated the schemata, it's a bit like stumbling around in the dark, and you're not really confident, and you really don't know where you're going. And if you activate schemata, then you feel much more confident, and it's like turning on the light, and you can see where you're going. So, how do you usually pre-teach vocabulary? Got any nice tricks? I'm sure you have lots. You what? Depends on the vocab. Okay, showing visuals, visual aids. Anything else? Yeah, so you try to get definitions. You might ask a good student for their own definition or get them to come up with one. Yeah, absolutely, great. Good, good, good. I'm sure you've all got lots of techniques that you use all the time. I'll just show a few of mine. This one's good. So typical reading passage, and you have that exercise, and like here are the words they're going to need. You might want to take them off the page, put them on the board, draw this little thing on the board. And you put the words into the box like this, and you tell them to categorize them. Words that you already know, words that you think you know, you're pretty sure you know what they mean, and words that you definitely don't know. And then, of course, they share with their partner, and hopefully there's some peer teaching going on. Their partner might know something they don't know, or think they know something, and because they think the same thing as the other person, that kind of confirms it, etc., etc. It's a really good activity to do quite frequently, in my opinion. Okay. Next. KWL. Who knows this? What's K? Good. No. What's W? Want to know. And L? Learn. Yeah, good. So everyone knows this one. Yeah, KWL, so what do you know already? So you look at this text, it's called, you look at the picture and you look at the title. What do you already know about this? What do you already know about longevity? Anything? Positive thinking. Great. Leads to a long life. Wonderful. Exercise. Good nutrition. Yeah. Friendship. Social connection. Yeah. Great. You know lots. Good. And W, want to know. What do you want to know? I want to know the secret. I want to know how to live a long and healthy life. Okay. And then, of course, L is post-reading rather than pre-reading. What did you learn? Okay. So again, that would be either quickly doing it in class and getting some ideas for them, or you can pair work it. You could even do a fluency workshop. So tell this partner, change partners, you have a little less time now, tell them, and change partners again, more fluently this time, less time. So KWL is a good one for activating schemata. In fact, let's just do a KWL. So here we have a text about, well, it's called Caffeine-Fueled World. What do you want to know about a caffeine-fueled world? Or what do you already know? Sorry, what do you already know? What do you know about caffeine? Anything? Do you know anything about caffeine?
It gives you lots of energy.
Fabulous. Anything else? Do you know where is that what you want to know? Ah, okay. She thinks she knows that in Turkey they drink the most coffee. Okay, this lady says Denmark. Okay. Maybe we want to know where they consume the most coffee. Great.
And the work schedule, it has revolutionized the way we work and our work schedules.
Fabulous. Okay, he knows lots. Yes, it has revolutionized the way we work and the work schedule, etc., etc. Okay, good. And what do we want to know? So maybe which country they drink the most coffee in. Anything else you'd like to know? What? Oh, you think it's Brazil? Got lots of countries going on here. Yeah. Okay. Which other question? Where can we drink the most expensive coffee? I want to know where the cheapest coffee is, but best quality but cheapest. Okay, great. Anything else you'd like to know? Sorry? When or where? When? During the day? Ah. Okay, yeah. Which time of day is the healthiest to drink coffee? Fabulous. Great. Okay, good, good, good. Let's see then if we're going to find out the answers to these questions. So here you go. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to this text, I hope. Oh, yeah, you have to be students now. No. Scan the QR code. Can you put your hand up if you can now see the text on your phone? Yeah? Good, good, good. Most people have it, yes? Okay, great. So you can just zoom in more easily. So you're teachers, so you're all really good at reading. So you're just going to scan this text in 2 to 3 minutes. When you've finished, put up your hand, please. So I'm just going to leave you in silence now, just 2, 3 minutes reading. Ready, steady, go. Okay, most of you finished? Good, good, good. Okay, great. So it's just skimming and scanning. Don't worry if you haven't read in full detail. But were any of your questions answered? I don't think they were they? Not your ones. We still don't know which country. Damn. But hopefully you've learnt some other interesting things. What did you learn? Anyone learn anything? Yeah, France and Denmark do not allow energy drinks. I didn't know that, did you? I had no idea. Any other? Yeah, some babies, not all of it, some babies are born with a certain amount of caffeine in their blood. Gosh. Anything else? It helps with asthma. I had no idea about that. Gosh. Great. Good. So you see the L, the learn. What did you learn? It's always something. Go. Do you know this one? It's give one, get one. So you can, if you find the what did you learn falls a bit flat, because sometimes it does, especially with teenagers, who know everything. You can do go, which is, so I tell you one thing I learnt, but you in return, you have to give me one back and tell me one thing you learnt. Okay, it's just when you know that if you do it in a class feedback scenario, it's just not going to work. You can do this instead, get some talking. So let's see. This text is about being annoyed. What 3 things annoy you or people in general the most? So just have a think, just yourselves, just 10 seconds. What 3 things annoy you? What 3 things annoy you? Or people, if you don't want to talk about yourself, people in general. Just have a think, and when you're ready, tell your partner, and then your partner has to tell you theirs. What annoys you guys? Okay. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Great. It's very interesting listening to different people's bête noirs, sorry. Okay, so that's a good one to do depending on the topic. The idea is obviously you're listening, sharing, elaborating, and recording. It could be recording themselves or just writing it down, because you can, of course, ask them to write down the 3 things that annoy them and then write down what their partner is annoyed by. Okay, another really good pre-reading activity is word splash. Anyone know word splash? Anyone use it? Word splash is like this. So you take some keywords from the text. Okay, some of them they'll know, some of them they might not know. But keywords, and what do you think you ask them to do? Yeah, work out, decide what the subject is, decide what the text is going to be about. So,
Technologically, how to produce. How did you?
nothing. No. I just took some words from the text myself, and put them in text onto a PowerPoint, and then twisted. Yeah, and then. Yeah. Oh, you mean yeah? That's a whole different session. PowerPoint basics. Yeah. Or you can do it with your classroom. It depends what classroom presentation tool or interactive whiteboard you have. You can. You don't. Well, you have the computer though, right? Yeah, so you can just do it on a PowerPoint. It's very quick. Copy, paste, put them into boxes and click on the little circle and move it. Yeah. Oh, have you all met that beautiful dog? She's 2 years old, apparently. I've met her. If you haven't checked her out yet, you should. She's at the back. She's probably a bit bored. Okay, so have a look at the words and speculate. Decide what you think the text is about. Okay, just 30 seconds. Tell your partner, what do you imagine this text is that I'm going to show you is about? Ready, steady, go. Bolivia. Yeah, you got that part. Something about Bolivia. Right, okay. Great. Got any other ideas? No? What do you think the story is? Traffic. Pedestrian, yeah. Great. Okay. Obviously, in your classes, you're going to allow a lot more time. We don't have time, sadly, but I would love to know your stories, because sometimes they can be so creative and they're really good fun. You were all being, from what I heard, quite sensible. It's like, oh, it's something about traffic in Bolivia, in La Paz. Okay, yes, quite possibly, no? And then, of course, you can give them the image, the title, and then see if they're still correct. Yeah. And then, of course, they read the text, but it gives them that motivation to read the text. Okay? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to read it. Okay. Okay, well, that's all really good fun, but what about exam techniques? Okay, because we do need to practice, right, for exam skills, exam techniques. Well, you do the usual, no? You have your tips and then the exercise. And what do? We tell them to underline the important part of the question. Yeah, to focus. And then we'll tell them to highlight or underline the important part of the section here. Just like that. I'm sure you all do this. Typical exam practice. And then they do the text, etc. But you can take it one step further, can't you? Because before you give them the reading, you can get them to predict the text by looking at the questions. Okay, so it's the same idea as word splash, just more exam focus. So they look at the questions and they guess what the text is going to be about. Just have a quick look at the questions. Yes, sorry, sentences, sorry, yeah. Any guesses? What's it going to be about? Footprint, carbon footprint. Diverse agriculture, okay. Crops, yeah. Good. And you can get them, of course, the idea is that they communicate, collaborate, get them telling their predictions, as we mentioned, to their partners. Okay. This is what it's actually about. I don't know if you can see that. We don't really have time to read it, though. But yeah, something to do with climate change. Okay. Another good pre-reading activity. We're spending more time on pre-reading because I think it's so important. We'll do the others in a second. Question rewrite. Okay, so you've got your questions, and you just encourage your students to paraphrase them, rewrite them. It's really good practice because it helps them notice that, what generally happens in exams is you'll have another word for the the one that's in the question, or another way of saying it. So you just get them to rewrite the questions. You can get them doing it on their own and then checking in pairs or doing it in pairs together. But it's a really good activity. So those were pre-reading activities. Just tell your partner, so there were quite a few. Yeah, there were quite a few, all of them actually, the words I know, so the categorization ones, the KWL, the go-go, word splash, predict the text, question rewrite. Whew. Which ones do you think you might use with your students? Just tell your partner quickly. It's reflection. This is reflection. Use them all. Which one do you like best? Go-go. All right. I like word splash. Yeah. Great. You got a favorite? Word splash, yeah. Okay. You got a favorite? Two? Which two? Okay. I'm getting a lot of go-go and word splash, so that's quite interesting. Great. Okay, let's move on to while reading. Okay, so obviously while reading, you don't need to do too much because they're busy reading. But we can make them more active readers by making a more collaborative and communicative activity. And that in turn helps improve understanding, comprehension. So while reading, here's one I like, especially with the lower levels, but also with higher, but especially lower. Read with your pencil. Underline important details. Circle unknown words. Put a question mark when you have a question. And put an exclamation mark for surprising information. And put a smiley face for something you already knew. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, I did want to do this together with you, but we don't have time, so. Okay. Yeah, can just encourage them to do that. Helps them focus. Another really good one, of course, is using graphic organizers. Most good course books will also provide graphic organizers. What are graphic organizers? Why use them? How do they help? What are the different types? How do you use them? Are there any drawbacks? Can you just, 1 minute, just answer some of those questions with your partner? What do you know about graphic organizers? Okay, so why use graphic organizers? What's so good about them?
They summarize a lot of information in a very concise form.
Fabulous, yeah, they summarize information very concisely. They help organize thoughts, they give structure. As you were saying, this is, in a way, a graphic organizer. So you have, well, that's a nice summary of that. They facilitate critical thinking by helping students see the ways in which ideas are interconnected. For example, you can use spider diagrams. The main idea in the middle, and then the other four for the other paragraphs. sunshine organizers, flowcharts, etc. Sorry, etc., etc. Sorry. Okay, with most good course books, they will also provide these in the teacher resources. But you can also find them online if you look for them and download them. Okay. Then we have active reading questions. What kind of questions might we have? Well, things like summarize the paragraph. What did this paragraph say, basically, in your own words? What's the purpose of this paragraph? What's the key information? Is there any supporting evidence or examples? So why do you think this is the right answer? Can you underline in the text where the right answer is? If you can't underline in the text where the right answer is, it's probably not the right answer. But you can say that until you're blue in the face and they still don't underline the relevant part of the text, but have to keep trying. How does this link to the previous paragraph? I think there's one more. Oh yeah. And what might be, if you're reading paragraph by paragraph, what might be in the next paragraph? So I'm just waiting for people to take their pictures. No, it's now or never. Okay, so the while reading section is a lot shorter than the pre-reading section, but there were three activities there we saw. So one was the read with your pencil, the other one was the graphic organizers, and the other one was active reading questions. Which ones are you going to use with your students? What do you think? Just reflect. Tell your partner if you want to, or just keep it to yourselves. Okay, let's move on to post-reading activities. It's a bit longer. All right, clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Clap 3 times if you can hear me. Okay, now, all right, so here we have a reading, and is it enough to just do the reading and do the comprehension questions, after you've done all the pre-reading of it? Is it enough to then just finish there? You could, but you could do so much more to deepen learning. So, one of the things that's really good is 3, 2, 1. So they've read the text, and you're going to tell them to write down 3 things you found interesting or surprising or shocking or whatever you decide to put. All right? So you've all read this text, albeit very quickly. Yeah, this is the one about caffeine you've all read. So just write down 3 things you found interesting, and then 2 things you want to know more about, and then 1 thing you'd like to fact check. Critical thinking. It's like, is that real? Is that actually true? How reliable is that information? Okay, so you've all got books, just write them down really quickly. Just note form. 3 things you found interesting, 2 things you want to know more about, and 1 thing you'd like to fact check. Okay, write them down and then tell the person next to you, please. 2 minutes. Anything I'd like to fact check? Yeah, me too. And Denmark, yeah. And there was something about labeling them as well, wasn't there? I wanted to check that. Would you like to fact check anything? Yeah, me too. I'd like to check that. Yeah. Yes.
Because I think this should be implemented
Yes.
all over the world.
Yeah. What the plan is? What's happening? Yeah. Okay. Would you like to fact check anything? Yeah. What would you fact check from there? If it really helps. Ease pain, yeah. That would be good. Great. Ah, you checked it already. Good. All right. Sorry to rush you. Obviously, this can take a long time because it can lead into discussion and, looking for the information. So the one I like the most is the fact check. Yeah, that's the best one. If you don't have time to do the 3-2, just do the one. Just do the one. It's great because, one person was saying they want to fact check whether energy drinks are really banned in France and Denmark. And someone else wants to fact check whether it's scientifically proven that caffeine really does relieve pain. And what was the other one you said? Oh, the caffeine in the blood of the babies. Yeah, fact check. I don't know, the percentage of babies that's actually the case. Yeah, etc., etc. Oh yeah, and fact check which other countries, or not fact check, but find out which other countries are planning to ban energy drinks. Sort of what's going on behind the scenes there. Yes, good. Great, okay, so this is just a really good one. Instead of you remember the KWL, and the L is what did you learn? This is a really good one if they're not responding to what did you learn. This is a really good one to use to encourage them to actually think about what they learned. And I also noticed that many of you when I asked you to do this, you went back and looked at the text again. So that's, making really good use of those texts. Great activity. Deepens learning, helps make the text more memorable, and therefore everything that they learn with it. Okay, the other activity post-reading is the 4 C's. Any wild guesses what the 4 C's might be? A word beginning with C? Coffee. No, afraid not. Good guess, but no. I'm just talking about text in general, not that text. Clarity, maybe? Comprehension, maybe? Okay, it's these. Connections. Okay, so get your students thinking, what connections do you draw between the text and your own life or your other learning? Challenge. What ideas, positions, or assumptions do you want to challenge or argue with in the text? Concepts. What key concepts or ideas do you think are important or worth holding on to from the text? And changes. What changes in attitudes, thinking, or action suggested by the text are suggested by the text for you or for others? Okay, so this is instead of the 3-2-1. I wouldn't do it as well as. It's a bit too much. But the idea is you get them thinking about that in silence on their own, first of all. And then when you've given them, it depends on your class, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to think of something, maybe write it down for each C. And then the first person, you'll put them in groups, small groups, okay, not in twos. It needs to be a small group. It's best with like 4 at least. And the first person starts and shares their first C, so their connection. Obviously, they'd have gone through the text and find things that they connect with, even if it's only one thing, and they explain. And then they give, the microphone to the other person who will explain their connection until everybody in the group has shared their connection. And then you start with the next C, challenge, okay? You don't have to do all 4 C's. You can just do one, just connections, and then everyone shares their connections. It's just getting them to really make the most of the text. Okay, so that's the 4 C's. Okay, another similar one is, I used to think, so before I read this text, I used to think, really good practice of used to, I used to think that babies couldn't be born with caffeine in their blood, for example. Or I used to think energy drinks were not banned in any countries. But now I think perhaps many countries are planning on banning energy drinks. And I wonder what that means for the businesses that produce energy drinks, for example. Okay. Again, you can get them to write down a sentence for each and share it. And another one that I really like post-reading, because it's also, of course, practicing writing, summarizing, paraphrasing, is to blog it. Okay, so they're just essentially summarizing what they've read, because it's real. What do you normally do when you read something interesting? You don't do comprehension questions for an exam. When you read or you listen to an interesting podcast or you watch an interesting documentary, what do you do in real life? Tell other people, you share it, right? You share it. So this is what we're doing here. Essentially, with all of these post-reading activities, we're sharing what we've read, which is always going to be summarizing and paraphrasing. So it's a real life skill. Yeah, it's real. So yeah, blog it, summarize it, share it with your partner, or put it on the classroom walls, or Google Classroom, or whatever you use, or a Padlet. I'm a big Padlet fan, love having Padlets. Another great thing to do post-reading, if the book that you're reading provides it, most good course books do, really helps with reading fluency, especially for the younger learners, is to use the audio. Okay, so you can listen and read at the same time, helps with reading fluency, but you can use the audio in other ways. Any of you use the audios? Any of you use the audios that go with the readings? Yeah? Okay, what kind of things do you do? You just listen and read, okay. Anyone do anything interesting with the audio? Okay. Okay, so you use the audio before you do the reading. That's interesting, okay. And then, so that you're listening for specific words, semantic words. Okay, great. Anyone else do anything interesting? Okay. You might do it for pronunciation versus spelling. So it's good fun. I'm really sorry on behalf of the English language. I'm so sorry it's so hard to spell. Native speakers have trouble with it, as the British Council speaker was saying earlier. He wasn't good at spelling. You can use it for reading fluency, and you can also use it to do listen, read, record. So obviously you listen and you read, and then you record yourself reading, maybe one paragraph. And you try, obviously, to emulate the audio. And then, I said I was a Padlet fan, so then I get them to put their videos onto the Padlet, and we can look at different students reading. Or they can just record and put it on. You can use Vockaroo, for example, or whatever you like to read. I can see people are coming in, so maybe I need to finish. Okay, so to wrap up, these are good rubrics if you're going to be assessing the recordings and using it for assessment. Some nice rubrics there as a QR to use for reading fluency. You all got it? Okay, if you haven't got it, you can come up and get it afterwards. I'll just move on. So just have a think to yourselves, because we need to finish. Which of those post-reading activities do you like the most? Are you going to use with your students? It's just a summary that... Okay, I hear people saying used to think. Okay. So just to finish off, leave you with this quote. Learning to read is a lifelong journey, but so is learning to teach reading, as you all know, which is why you're here. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be around in the break. And otherwise, if we could possibly... if we could possibly get your feedback, it'd be really appreciated. Thank you.